Hello everyone, I'm your host Viraj Bhardwaj, and today on this episode of Cosmos Chat, Tom Carew, who is an IAS Astronaut Scientist Candidate, is with us, and he will talk about space flight research. I want him to introduce himself.
Hey Viraj, how's it going? Thanks for having me. As Viraj mentioned, my name's Tom. I'm on the IIAS Scientist Astronaut Program, and I'm the CTO and co-founder of this UK biotech firm, Bison Biotech. Yeah, good to be here.
So today we are going to talk about the space flight research, and let me give you a brief introduction. So space flight is a branch of the astronautics discipline, and which is oriented about flying into outer space. And it could be like automated, or it could have human crew with it. And today we are going to talk about the astronauts and the things which happens in the astronautics. So first thing I want to ask Mr. Tom Carew
Sure.
is, how have you prepared for space flight and conducting research in space? And yes, what skills do you recommend for like the aspiring astronauts who want to become astronauts in future, or who are looking to become astronauts now? And people, yes, and people looking at applying to the your IIAS, International Institute of Astronautical Sciences, like it focuses on this whole astronautic study. So do you have something, do you have any skills to recommend them?
Um, yeah, sure. Obviously, I can only speak in the context of an IIS program rather than NASA or ESA or other, some of these commercial bodies that are looking to develop their candidate rooster. But in terms of preparation, um, prior to the applying to a program, I highly recommend, continuing or obtaining your STEM degree. I think this is a prerequisite, and I think this will just is a good thing in general. I think for your life goals, as well as scuba diving. I think that's a really useful thing for coordinating and teamwork in this situation with limited communication. Obviously, you can't be chatting to each other unless you have a radio comms on a full face dive mask. But yeah, in terms of the actual program itself, like this is a thing I think, that has really helped boost my ability and preparation for conducting spaceflight research. Really, we've done acrobatic flight training for improving your um, ability to withstand G-force and how to appropriately apply essentially your anti-G strain maneuver technique. I don't know if you're aware of this, it's breathing and tensile technique. It helps reduce your risk of blacking out from G-force loss of consciousness. We used to do a lot of training in the hyperbaric chamber. This is really useful for helping you to identify and react to the early signs of slow onset hypoxia, which could occur, if you're not in a sealed vehicle, um, increasing in altitude. A lot of teamwork exercises as well. Do mission simulations, both using Virgin Galactic user interface. This is with and without your IVA suit as well. So operating in this and doing the dexterity exercise in this suit is really helpful. I think, and it's really improved. Well, I hope my chances relating to my spaceflight ambitions. But yeah, it's been great, and I'm really excited for the next step.
Good. So the doing the going into the space flight field is not so easy, but yes, the ones who are like trying to go into them, who aspires to go in this field and do something great, like they will not be stopped from anything. So one thing, like people are confused about it, and yes, we all want to know about this. How does the microgravity environment in this, so in the space and in the space station where astronauts live, affect them physiologically, and what changes occur and can be done to mitigate the detrimental ones? Can you like answer this question?
Um, sure, yeah, like the microgravity environment is a really unique setting. Obviously, it's not our natural innate environment. We used to hear, you know, 1 G under atmospheric pressure, obviously, some of them are quite well characterized essentially since the first human space missions, have been diagnosed from crew who have returned back. And we've seen a change in several aspects of the physiology essentially. Primarily, ones you may have heard of are, um, elevated muscle atrophy, bone density loss, and the calcium loss associated with this. There's also a few cardiovascular issues, orthostatic hypertension. This is associated, your blood pressure relating to when you're standing up. This is a problem. Sorry, if I was going to sneeze there. Excuse me. But yeah, there's several ways that we can mitigate this, and this has been used. But as we learn more, it's really vital that we kind of find a way to balance these if we want to do longer haul space missions, particularly to Mars and maybe potentially outside of our solar system in the distant future. So like for muscle atrophy, primarily on the International Space Station, they have the Advanced Resistance Exercise Device, or ARED. You're going to hear a lot of acronyms when they're talking about the systems they employ on the ISS. But yeah, this, you may have seen it before, or some of your listeners. It's essentially like a deadlift platform with like the straps to the actual bar. So it kind of imitates the resistance you'd feel if you were operating in a not under 1G gravity. So from what my understanding, yeah, all the crew need to do 2 hours every day, 6 days a week, using this device to keep elevated muscle atrophy at bay, essentially. And I spoke to Dr. Seedhouse with the IIAS as well about this. I was curious to see like if they could increase the number of hours for a reduced number of days you need to train, because they only like because of their schedule, they only have to do about 17 hours of actual research a week. So if you could reduce the amount of time they exercise, they could do for other things such as maintenance, EVAs, experiments. But he explained to me like the system that provides a recycled oxygen, is already stressed as it is with that crew. So if you're training 3 or 4 hours, obviously using more oxygen, this could take it beyond its capacity to run essentially. So yeah, for the time being, it's going to be 2 hours a day, 6 days a week. Quite intense actually. Yeah. The other one as well, I suppose, that mentioned with that microgravity environment, it's not directly linked to that, is if on these space missions is exposure to cosmic radiation, which I suppose is all of the radiation that one is exposed to in space. And obviously the ISS and EVA suits provide some shielding to this, but yeah, this form of radiation can be quite intense, and it's an interesting field about what the long-term effects of exposure could be. Yeah, so it's important that we further study this so that we can mitigate any of the detrimental effects associated with it. Really.
Yes,
Mm.
like the gravitational problems and the radiation problem, all those things are like a very challenging thing for all the astronauts living in the space. But yes, we
Definitely.
can't like deny about the mental health here, because mentally
True.
also they get harmed, they get challenged and all, right?
Yeah, it takes a huge amount of mental fortitude, I think, for any of these long haul missions, or long, up a year or something on ISS. Yeah, but we can I know that NASA does a lot of vetting and mental preparation and kind of debrief and that type of thing, just to help essentially with all of the crew. If you're operating as a team in quite a small confined space, it's key that mental well-being as well as your physical well-being is cared for and monitored.
Like I've researched on this topic greatly, and I found out
Oh,
that
nice.
you can like feel it with an example. Isolation is the thing which is keeping like which is affecting their mental health, because they are not with their family, they are not with their well-beings, and they are like living in a confined space. And we all felt this during the pandemic time. So like isolation is a very big problem for them, like we do in the white room torture, in which a person is like surrounded it's like kept in is like isolated in a white room, all the things are white there, and like mm, many people like gets mentally like distorted and gets unstable of mind. There are many problems which occur due to this in isolation problems. But yes, like sleep problems are also one thing which like affect the mental health of an astronaut living in the space. They don't get like fresh. They don't get to breathe fresh air, and like they can't even eat the fresh food. And the lack of natural lights can lead to sleep problems, anxiety, and depression. And but like the organizations like the corporations like NASA is continuously working to this. I also want to like tell all of you about some of the things which are NASA is developing with an organization. I think its name is Trice. We say them Trice. I can't remember like the full name of that company. I'm really sorry for that. But yes, I think it was somewhat like Translation Research Institute for Space Health. So like along like NASA and this organization have collaborated together and like currently working on many technologies. Like they are working on like something like machine learning. They are trying to use sensors and algorithms in order to like monitor the changes, like mental changes which are occurring in the body. Astronauts on the ISS are continuously exposed to a 72 decibel sound, which is quite irritating for them. And so
Yeah,
the, these technologies will help us to monitor, to predict the changes, to predict the behavioral conditions of them. And like one thing they are also developing, I can remember, it is a like a you know uh, headband, you can tell. Its name is like a smart sleep. And it is a headband with an app connected to it. And using this, they would emit inaudible like slow waves as a way to improve
yeah, I've heard
sleep.
about this. Yeah, it's very interesting for improving the quality of sleep, right?
And University of Pennsylvania is like working with tries continuously to working on it, because sleep is a very important thing when it comes to living in the space. And I think these things like will help astronauts in the future to go there. And like this is like the headband is currently being tested because it's completed, but it's currently being tested on people, on astronauts. And yes, one more thing, like fun is also needed there. They don't have like so much things. So like they are also like developing VR, which virtual reality, like some headset type thing, through which the astronauts can play games on it. And yes, there's an exercise and meditation mode too, so that they could like exercise on. And I don't know how they are gonna like do it, but yes, according to the things they have written it there on their website, I just figured out. I just like got to know that they are developing something like a virtual reality headset or something related to the virtual reality technology, in which they will they can play games, and it have an exercise mode which can help them
Nice.
like exercising there. I think so. I can't. I like they have not given much information about this technology, about this project. But yes, I think this project is also to be mentioned in my episode in this meeting. So I thought I should mention it, because exercising and meditation is also a very important factor in like improving our health. We all do somewhat in yoga and every the things which are related to like the exercise. This like affect our this improve our health quality. So like these was the things we talked about, the changes which have the changes which affect the things which affect to the astronauts in the space. And like we also talked about the physiologically, and we also like talked about the psychological effects. We talked about the measures too, the things through which we can mitigate this. So now I want to know now, like, how's your training going on? Like, what do you want to get from the IIAS program in which you have enrolled, in which you have like doing working continuously, and what are your future plans about it? Like, what you will do after this program, and like, what do you want from it?
Oh, sweet. Well, yeah, in terms of my training, great, I hope. I just finished the in-person training on the AST 101 course with IIAS. It's given me, as I mentioned before, given me some really new, great practical skills. Hope to apply my existing work and hopefully build on with future training modules with the Institute. So I'm really excited with that, and it's help expand some of my existing skill repertoire. Um, in regards to future plans, they kind of tie in with what I'm currently doing. I'm starting this new role at this lab in Southampton to develop new antimicrobial drugs to combat antibiotic resistant pathogens. As you and probably a lot of your listeners know, like widespread use of antibiotics has kind of led to the corresponding widespread distribution of uh, a lot of non-pathogenic and pathogenic bacteria that display resistance to many, if not all, of our available antibiotics. So addressing this is I think, a key thing alongside climate change if we wish our civilization to proceed and continue. And it's something that's not really like very well, not that it's not discussed or taboo, but it's kind of still this new area of research that's still emerging, I suppose, from like investigation into the microgravity climate. Is that bacteria taken up to the ISS for study? Um, they've been observed to have elevated resistance, even greater than that's what's seen here on Earth, to many antibiotics. And we think that this is just a widespread response to bacteria to being in this stress environment of a microgravity, cosmic radiation, and net result, a byproduct really of this is that increased expression of these stress response gene operons they have just kind of contributed to its elevated resistance. So that's a real concern because, antibiotic resistant bacteria could undermine all future space missions, particularly if their ability to withstand, essentially they're not really importing any of these drugs or the pro drugs really, while they're in this microgravity environment, or it's been significantly reduced. So addressing that's really key. And a lot of people often, when for any publicly funded space program, obviously, they have to request funding from any of the respective government. And, a big question that's always posed for them and in the public domain is really like, could this money be better spent on problems here on Earth rather than funding space missions? And I think researching antimicrobial resistant bacteria and developing next gen antibiotics really, as cliche as it is, could kill two birds with one stone, really. Because they directly, a lot of obviously a lot of things that you and I take for granted, you probably, you got your mobile phone on your desk next to me. A lot of these technologies have come in which respect from research and in funding into spaceflight missions. So this, in a sense, if I'm really keen to look into antimicrobial resistance and how to overcome this in the microgravity environment. I think this, a byproduct of this is we'd have a next gen of highly effective antimicrobial agents that we can use here in contemporary medicine. So yeah, I'm really keen to pursue this line of research. Yeah, I'm really excited for the future. What was that? Yeah, also I
Like
think for future plans regarding the program, I'm going to continue doing their new training modules. I'm looking to do they offer some training for rescue operations as well as some more simulations of doing EVA exercises outside of space vehicles. So I'm really keen to do that, and I'm currently doing my PPI for my private piloting license. So really keen to chip away with that alongside. Yeah. I'm curious to see, you reach out to me. What got you into astronautics and spaceflight?
so, like you, if you talk about me, so I'm not like so involved in this the field of astronautics and space flight. I'm just 13 now and not so like professional in this field.
Hmm.
But yes, because of the interest in the field of astronomy, I'm continuously working on, like, I'm continuously trying to gain knowledge on astronautics and space flight. And this whole field of travel in the outer the traveling in the outer space, and the concept of like astronauts are always fascinates me. And I'm like very much interested in astrobiology, and we can like connect the astrobiology part with this astronautics part, because the things which changes us, like the changes which occur in our human body during the
Hmm.
exposure to like the outer space, all these things we read about in, like, astrobiology. And I'm continuously trying to like do something great in the field of I've like I've thought of becoming an astrophysicist in future. But yes, all the fields are like connected with each other, and I'm very much into this astronautics and space flight research. And in our organization too, we are continuously working. In the organization, like we are like just students. This is a student led organization. Its name is like Nebula Space, and
Hmm.
we have like created a small mini telescope. Its name is, we have like given it it name, like the Nebula mini space telescope. Sorry, mini space, satellite. And like we have also like trying to create, like with many other organizations, we are currently being funded by for astrophotography things, we are currently being funded by European Space Agency. And for our researches, we are like being funded by Harvard University, and Microsoft and other. And yes, for
Oh wow, that's
we
amazing.
are also developing a rocket. Its name is like Excalibur, and we are hoping to launch it into the space. So everything is connected with this astronautics and space flight things. This all the things we are doing. And we can't imagine the space without this field, because uh, our dream was to go into space. And yes, it's still our dream to go, to settle on somewhere like Mars, on or some other planet. It's still a science fiction, but yes, companies like NASA and SpaceX are currently trying to like like uh, get something great in the field, in this field of astronautics. And we are,
Yeah, no,
yes,
that's
we are
that's
currently
really
like
that's really great to hear about your interest and stuff at such a young age. All I can recommend is keep striving with it. This is really inspiring to hear someone at your age be this focused and determined. Yeah, it's very exciting.
Thank you so much. So like, can we talk about like some science fiction here? Because I want to
Sure.
know what do you think the future of space flight will look like. Like what are your hopes and what are your concerns about this topic?
Hmm.
Can I
Yeah,
know about it?
sure. Well, like I'm always excited for the future, and it may change, not my outlook, I hope, but what the future formulates itself as. But in the context of spaceflight, as you know, the ISS is going to be decommissioned within this decade, or slightly sooner, potentially due to some current conflicts, unfortunately. And it's most likely going to be replaced by commercial entities, like a combination of different groups providing their space vehicles. And if a collaborative effort is strong enough and is coordinated well enough, I suppose I'll make some kind of modular combined assembly looking something like the ISSS, with different companies owning different portions of this, conducting different research and collaborating as a team. Um, and I'm not, as well, I'm really excited for this and stuff. I think there's something really special about the ISSS. Like this is a non-commercial, like this is, freedom of research essentially between these different collaborating astronauts and cosmonauts. And though I'm really excited to see what these new commercial groups can do and will do in space, at the same time, I'm maybe a little bit concerned that they due to the proprietary nature of any commercial entity, that it it might add some red tape to research that would otherwise go uninhibited. So yeah, we'll see. I'm still excited for the future. I'm curious to see. Obviously, there's some big talk on this, obviously with SpaceX and that, but I was actually really fortunate to see some of the other groups like the Axiom One launch. I actually saw that. I was on my second day of the in-person training. It was during our atmospheric chemistry lecture, doing some orbital mechanics stuff, and we got to take a little break from that just to watch the launch. Actually, that was really special. So yeah, I'm really curious to see which of these companies take lead, and hopefully we see maybe with this expansion of the more some of the billionaires funding this type of thing. It'll be really nice to see maybe uh, perhaps a group non-profit space vehicle flight that provides, I suppose, some open space lab platform for scientists to conduct, freely available research that's not to be, I guess, monetized, perhaps. Yeah, but no, overall, yeah, I'm very curious, very excited. What about yourself? What are you, you know, what do you hope for from future spaceflight missions?
Like if you talk about me, then yes, I'm very much like excited about the future of space flight. And yes, you have seen just like the NASA has collaborated with the Barbie company, and yes, we through like this like sound like a funny and silly thing, like the Barbie has sent into space. But yes, this thing can tell us the interest of all the people who are also not connected with science in the field of like astronomy and space flight. And yes, the hope we could get more candidates for like the astronaut training, and like the future of like I according to me the we're not gonna like destroy ourselves, because we humans are not we like looks this, but I hope we don't destroy ourselves in the future. And yes, our future of space life is gonna be dope according to me. And the things which are like being planned, we are like constantly progressing in this field. We are
Hmm.
like developing more advanced rockets, and uh, we now have the technology of using reusable rockets. So these are the things like which are like being developed, being invented in the field of space flight. And according to me, all the missions which are yet to be done and which are being planned by the commercials and non-commercial, the private organizations, um this is gonna be dope. I'm like
Yeah.
very excited about the future. And like I don't think about, there are many concerns here, because there are many things of which we can worry uh, about the whole space flight, because there are many challenges, many things which can make a problem in our whole progressing thing. But yes, it we should be happy, we should doing our work, we should not get like stopped from anything. We should work. And yes, we humans have achieved this much things from the last decades, and we will do the same in the future. We humans will constantly progress. And we hope we could get more people like you who are like very much enthusiastic about astronomy, and who will like progress us in the field of space flight and generally astronomy.
Yeah, sounded. If the future generation, has your ambition and drive, Viraj, I'm even more excited, really, for the future. Yeah.
We're coming to the end of this episode, and before the end, I want to know, like, do you have anything you would like to say to prospective of or future applicant to the IIAS Scientist Astronaut Program? Because it sounds good, and you have explained it. You have told us about it very amazingly.
Um, yeah, sure. I can only speak from my own personal experience and stuff like that, but I highly recommend any people who think about applying. You may be a bit cliche, and you may have heard it from your peers, parents, and teachers. Continue to apply yourself, work hard. If you already have your undergrad or master's or PhD, that's a really good step for applying for the program. They also have be a program for current students in their undergrad as well. So, you know, if in a suitable STEM degree, yeah, please go for it, apply yourself, really. I actually, one of the big influences I think for me for looking at these type of things was a neighbor of a family member living in the States. He was a former engineer, systems engineer at NASA. And before he died, actually, he was the one who kind of spoke to me and, you know, knew about my spaceflight ambition. So he recommended, you know, kind of top things he thought at the time I should really go for. One of them was my pilot's license, which I'm doing right now, just a PPI, and getting my PhD, as well as learning some Russian. And I think his rationale for that at the time was that most of the successful US astronaut candidates had been, or a lot of them had been from military pilot backgrounds, either the US Air Force or Navy, you know, running experimental aircraft, or they've been scientists, doctors, engineers. So I think he thought, you know, if you can kind of fit into both of these pools, you know, that makes you a good fit. And also because of the cosmonaut sections of ISSS and communication with them, you know, English being their second language, I think that's why he recommended Russian. So, you know, I still practice that to this day. You know, if you can just, you know, get started, you know, if you're curious about it, you know, it can seem like a daunting language, but, you know, there's really good resources out there. Duolingo is really good if you just want to get better pronunciation of your Cyrillic characters. But yeah, I highly encourage anyone to apply, and you know, check out their site as well. IIS is really open with the prerequisites and stuff they want for applicants. So yeah, just apply yourself. Just yeah.
Hope I could also work with IIAS Scientist Astronaut Program in future because I liked it so much. And
Absolutely, yeah. You could do it while you're doing your undergrad. They have plenty. You know, I'm not the, as you may have heard from my accent. Yeah, I am not American. Like, there's plenty of international scientists that they invite if you're successful in your application. So you wouldn't be alone. On my class, actually, I had two Indian scientists with me. So really, you wouldn't be alone here. Parash, I recommend that you apply probably just when you're doing your undergraduate degree or still in college. Yeah, go for it.
sure, it's still fascinating me, and I will sure apply to this astronaut program because I think it's very suitable for me. So before ending this meeting, I'm very fond of reading books, and I try to ask other scientists and other people involved in this field
Hmm.
about their books. And I also got many suggestions from my last guest, like the Becky Williams sir. So I
Yeah.
also want to ask you, what's your favorite book, and do you have something to share about it?
Oh, my favorite book. Yeah, as nerdy as it sounds, yeah, obviously I'm spending a lot of time just reading like research publications or like technical books and stuff. But I know what you mean. I do enjoy reading when I do have the time. Probably gotta be like Dune, by Frank Herbert. I think that's, yeah, that saga, that and Lord of the Rings, I think are impeccable. What about yourself?
Great. I'm also very much interested in books, and
Hmm.
um, so I've also read many books about the aliens, and Carl Sagan's also a book by Carl Sagan.
Yeah.
I can't I will tell you the name of it. It was Carl Sagan's. Hi, yes, I remember it. Its name was Intelligent Life in the Universe, and it's one of my favorite books, which was written by Sir Carl Sagan.
Hmm.
So
Oh, nice.
I must say, you are explained the whole concept very greatly, very correctly, and yes, it also gave me an inspiration to do something in the astronaut program. And yes, I'm sure it will give hopes, and it will give some inspiration to my viewers too, to my audience too. And yes, I'm very grateful to you to have you in at our podcast, at our meeting. I'm very much grateful to you.
Thanks for having me, Viraj. It's been great.
Really, thank you, sir.